Given the sensitive, often private nature of the issues at play, the majority of harassment complaints and grievances are treated through mediation. Mediation offers a less adversarial, confidential process wherein the parties are able to craft a mutually acceptable resolution. While ideally the grievance process results in resolution in the workplace at the earliest level, the process can become lengthy and conflict-laden. It can result in additional stress and hardship for victims who are engaged in a protracted litigation. In our brief, we have provided a few examples of these difficult cases, and my colleagues can also provide examples. Education and training are also key to changing workplace culture and preventing sexual harassment. For example, in the context of the joint learning program with Treasury Board that PSAC has negotiated, the anti-harassment course is the most popular. Over 800 workshops have been delivered across departments since 2007. Despite all this, sexual harassment and other forms of harassment remain pervasive in the workplace. The Public Service Employee Survey indicates that almost 1 woman out of 3 reports that she has been harassed at some time in the workplace. That proportion increases dramatically for women of color and women from the other equity groups. Clearly, Treasury Board is not living up to the expected standards of providing a workplace free of harassment and discrimination. This is why the first recommendation in our brief is to require Treasury Board to review the process and the outcomes of all settlements, internal investigations, arbitrations, and human rights complaints involving sexual harassment, and to report back to the Standing Committee within 1 year. Canada has a commitment to promoting women's equality and eliminating discrimination and harassment under the Canadian Human Rights Act, the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, as well as under the United Nations Women's Convention and the Beijing Platform for Action. We call on Canada to reaffirm its commitment to eliminate sexual harassment and other forms of discrimination and violence against women. And it can start by doing that at the upcoming session of the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women, which will begin on March the 4th. We also ask that you recommend that the federal government respond to the call by national women's organizations and trade unions for a national action plan against violence against women. Finally, as you can see in our brief, we have other recommendations that are important, and we would be happy to discuss these further during the time allotted for questions. I'll stop here, but of course I invite you to raise questions with my colleagues, Mary Chamberlain, Jan Houck, Robin Kurz. They deal with sexual harassment complaints in the RCMP and in the Department of National Defense, and I'm sure that you will be interested in hearing from them. For his part, Bob Kingston is co-chair of the Public Service-wide Policy Committee on Health and Safety, and he is an expert on the Canada Labour Code regulations on violence prevention in the workplace. We hope that these regulations will be instrumental in preventing sexual harassment in our workplaces. Thank you for your attention.
Je vous remercie. Thank you, Ms. Benson. So now we will move to question period.